Okay, we have that story, right? That's about crime. And so we have a lot of confusion about how we're dealing with crime, what the policies are, and also the pandemic. I mean, Congresswoman, Pfizer CEO Albert Bourla, he's contracted COVID for the second time in 6 weeks. He's been vaccinated and boosted 4 times. And this, Congresswoman, not one U.S. state is requiring public school students to be vaccinated to go to public school. That's even in California. So no public schools in any state are doing vaccine mandates.
Yeah, even California, right? Well, because I mean, I think what you've proven, what you just said, is that the vaccine, if you want to take the vaccine, great. If you don't want to take it, that's fine too. That should be a decision that you make with your doctor based on your risk assessment and what you're willing to do. Because what's been shown over and over is that the vaccine does not prevent you from getting it. So it's not a public health provision. It's actually a personal health decision. And if that's something that you want to make, that's fine. But what we're looking at right now under the Biden administration is they're getting ready to fire 100,000 members of our military who have not yet gotten vaccinated. After the president says this is no longer an issue. We can't let that happen. We're looking at it by this administration's mandating of the vaccine again. We're looking at millions of people in the private sector potentially having to lose their job. That's not right. So, I think what you've seen is Republicans are all about, personal responsibility, having the discussions, making your own personal choices. Where I think what you see from Democrats is 100% about mandates and us being big brother and telling you what to do.
I mean, is it even a vaccine? Maybe it's just like a flu shot if you get COVID still, right? So we should be even calling it vaccine. That's for another day. But Congressman, let's get your reaction to Dr. Fauci saying, yes, shutting down schools was worth it. Watch this.
We've talked a lot about learning loss in Texas. There were a bunch of other consequences of closing the schools down. Were they worth it, I guess, knowing what you know?
Yeah, I believe so for a number of reasons.
And sometimes when you do draconian things, it has collateral negative consequences. Just like when you shut things down, even temporarily, it does have deleterious consequences on the economy, on the school children. You know that. But you have to make a balance. When you're dealing with, we know the only way to stop something cold in its tracks is to try and shut things down. I didn't shut down anything.
Okay, but the thing is, Congresswoman, they weren't temporary shutdowns, right? And they didn't stop the pandemic. Can you keep track of what Dr. Fauci is saying?
Well, he's saying one thing and then he's saying something completely opposite. He's doubling down. I did the right thing. And then, oh, no, I didn't do that when they find out that there's negative consequences. The fact is that he may say it's worth it, but he should be talking to the parents who have lost children because they either had drug overdoses because they were not in class, because they were dealing with depression and committed suicide. Looking at these kids who have not had proper education in the last 2 years because of his draconian practices in shutting these schools down. We're seeing so many people move to Texas from California because of those shutdowns. We have no idea what that actual cost is yet. And I'm afraid that we're not going to find out for decades to come.
Congresswoman, I'd like you to listen to this final soundbite. Dr. Paul Offit, he's a member of the FDA's Vaccine Advisory Committee. He's warning young people should not get the new booster shot, that it could be unhealthy for them. Watch.
A healthy young person really is unlikely to benefit from a booster dose. There's not clear evidence of benefit. Then it's not fair, I think, to ask people to take a risk, no matter how small. The benefit should be clear.
So he's saying the benefit's not clear. He's saying, yeah, for people over age 65, and if you're immunocompromised, you should get a booster. You're less likely to be hospitalized with the virus. But he's talking about side effects like myocarditis or pericarditis.
Yeah. I mean, the fact is that we knew early on that young children who were healthy really had very little risk of catching this or getting very sick from it. We knew that early on. And yet what we've seen from people like Fauci, people like Biden, is they were willing to use our young kids, our school kids, as ping pongs in this political battle to be able to make people scared, to be more controlled. It's horrible what they've done. These ramifications are going to be felt by our youth, by our families for years to come.